All right, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Excited to have you guys for our final presentations of the Innovation Factory. And this has been quite a week, I must say, quite a week since we've been attacking this one. And we've got some amazing judges that I'll bring on stage in just a second to introduce themselves. But first and foremost, I want to give you guys a big round of applause for hustling. And, people always ask me, can you actually teach innovation, entrepreneurship in this virtual way? It's experiential. It turns out you can. It does take people to sort of be flexible and creative. And I think, as you'll see, this group of emerging innovators and entrepreneurs certainly have done that one. But this is the theme of kind of Innovation Factory a little bit here. I'm going to give sort of a quick little overview of what this thing came to be a little bit and just share a couple of quick little slides and then we'll have the judges come on and introduce themselves. But Innovation Factory is based on kind of a simple premise, and that is, how could we teach people how to think and act like innovators inside existing established organizations? And so the idea was to take a group of high ambitious, high potential sort of MBA students here and let them work on concepts together. So last week we spent most of our time working on this idea of like kind of some of the tools and incremental innovation to sort of prepare us to what we did for the last 7 days. And last week we essentially let every single one of the entrepreneurs here in the crew pitch, and they all pitched ideas based on some prompts that we got from some executives at Nestle and at City Ventures. Sort of the cool part about this experience a little bit is sort of it enabled us to have like real case studies behind it. And so that's kind of what we did here in this one. And again, I think particularly interesting, sort of given the fact that we were able to learn these interesting things here. Oops, let me see if I can get this thing to advance here. Hold on just a second. Let's see if I can advance. Let's see here. All right, sorry. Let me see if I can get this thing to play for me. Hold on just one quick second. Man, my poor use of the slides here. So we had the benefit of having Nestle and City as a part of it. So all of these are real world kind of concepts behind it. And from that, really, we emerged these 5 concepts: chef at home, shop smart, wasted wine, safe spend, and advocates for change. All of them will be presenting for you guys. They'll have about 8 minutes to present and essentially be able to have several minutes, 4 or 5 minutes of Q&A afterwards. So that's really what has been the entire goal of this one, is to set that up for it. So without further ado, I'm going to bring up our judges here who to sort of let themselves introduce themselves for you guys. And I think all of them have interesting backgrounds and such. So let me bring everyone up here so you can meet them quickly. I sort of shared their brief bios with everyone here before we started, but I'll let you guys maybe go around the horn here. And Doug, since you're a familiar face here, why don't you do your introduction back in the fold again here?
All right. Hi, everyone, again. Great to be here. Great to be judge. Honored and excited about the pitches. I've been with Nestle close to 20 years, spending about 2/3 of that time in some form of corporate innovation role, and now heading up our new business ventures group out of our strategy arm located here in Arlington, Virginia.
Awesome. And another corporate innovation guru, Fabienne, why don't you introduce yourself here?
Hi, Fabienne Jacquet, and I have 31 years of innovation also in the corporate world before founding my own company 2 years ago, which is Innovive, and which is looking at innovation through the feminine lens. And thanks to Professor Koster, I'm currently writing a book which is called Venus Genius, the Female Prescription for Innovation. And again, under the same theme. And I'm actually a scientist and a marketer.
Awesome. I'm glad to have you. Thanks for coming. And you're you're in Europe as well, right? So you bring a European perspective as well.
You can hear. I'm not from New Jersey.
It's good. It's good. So awesome. Sunny, and before I let Sunny go, Sunny is actually a prior winner of this course. So Sunny is someone who took this course a few years ago and is now an entrepreneur in the fintech space. So sort of, again, got this route of being an entrepreneur, an innovator, into now an entrepreneur. So Sunny, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. So I'm glad to be here. And as Eric mentioned, I am a byproduct of one of his classes, so I was excited to have this opportunity. My entire background is in financial planning and analysis. I work with investment side of things and things like that. So I run my own investment education company called Edible Finance, and it's exactly how it sounds: bite-sized pieces of information to help you digest investing a lot quicker. So I'm currently working on that, and I'm glad to be here.
And last but not least, Monique, who is another innovation guru here, and also sort of a food entrepreneur as well. So bringing that perspective here a little bit. Monique, I'll let you introduce yourself.
All right. Thanks, Eric. I'm Monique Rodriguez, and I'm the owner and founder of Old Salt Merchants. We're a women-owned and operated provisions company, and we're really motivated by our passion for food. And our mission is to develop and expand our customers' palate by providing very bold, unique, and high-quality salts, sugars, and teas. And soon we'll be expanding into spice. So I'm super excited to be hearing about all of these pitches, and thanks for having me, Eric.
Absolutely. So glad to be able to do it. And like I said, exciting adventures here. So the judges will be kind of hanging out throughout. So we'll bring them up after each pitch for questions. So we'll let them get back to their seats here, and this virtual seats, I guess, so to speak, here, since we're all in our seats already, and we'll sort of take it away. So let me get us set up here with our pitches for this evening here, and sort of things. So again, sort of the pitch order, as you saw kind of on the front of the screen here a little bit, just to sort of make sure to walk through. We're going to start with our friends here at Chef at Home, then Shop Smart, Wasted Wine, Safe Spend, and Advocates for Change. We'll try to run through these things in a fairly brisk order so we can be through these things to give the judges to convene, and then we'll wind up getting back together for it. I'll also make sure to kind of be keeping a little bit of time at the top. So you'll see a timer that'll sort of set to kind of keep folks on track. Use it as best you can to kind of keep yourself in order, and we'll sort of go from there. So why don't we start out with our friends here at Chef at Home here. Let me get them brought up on stage here. So just a quick second here. Let me bring them up here. All right. Sorry, real quick. Sorry, the one joy here is, like, when you're your own masters of ceremony here, you've got to also pull up everyone and handle this part too. So let me bring you guys on stage here. Matt Smith and last but not least, McLean. All right. So I will let our friends at Chef at Home, I'll let you guys take it away from here.
Excellent. McLean, if you would share our slide deck.
I can do that.
All right. Good afternoon. We are the Chef at Home team, and we're ready and excited to share with you our newest innovation in the frozen meal space. So as everyone is well aware, the biggest kind of trend rocking our world is COVID-19, of course. People are going out less. They're cooking in more. They're trying to limit their trips to restaurants and grocery stores. So that obviously plays into the frozen meal space. Within the kind of market of cooking and frozen meals, we've identified three kind of segments. We're looking to play in this middle ground here. On one end, you have what we call the hopeless bachelor. A lot of times younger people, they rely almost exclusively on delivery, fast food. They don't like cooking really in any capacity. They may pop a lean cuisine in from time to time. And then on the opposite end of the spectrum, you have your professional cooks and your kind of intense hobbyists. They like to cook for large groups of people. They like to spend a lot of time cooking and sourcing the ingredients, buying the ingredients, and cooking is kind of part of their identity. We've identified this key segment in the middle, which is where we're going to target, and that's the leisurely cook. They see cooking as a hobby, but the prep work and kind of buying expensive ingredients is tedious, and they don't enjoy it. They tend to be around our age, 25 to 35 years old, and they're cooking for either themselves or themselves and a partner. Next slide, please, McLean. So talking a little bit about the market potential, obviously frozen foods is huge, nearly $300 billion globally. About $100 billion of that is in frozen meals in particular. Biggest opportunity for expansion is in Asia, which plays well for our product, which we'll go into detail later. We put out a survey, got about 130 responses. We found more or less everybody cooks on the stove at some point. A little less than half of people eat a frozen meal at least once a month. And perhaps our most interesting finding is that over a quarter of our survey respondents already add spices to existing frozen meal purchases, which don't come with the spices. So there's clearly a demonstrated desire to kind of upscale these frozen meal items. And with that, I'll pass it to Julia to go in depth with our product.
Yep. So our Chef at Home product line essentially provides frozen meals that are meant to be cooked on a stovetop. in addition to providing the vegetables and protein in a bag about this size. So if you can see my video about the size of my head, it'll also come with spice packets and sauce packets that can be put into the pan while you're cooking it, and you can flavor to taste. So I'll kind of talk a little bit now about how we got to this point. With me having a collection of spices that I was using to kind of learn how to cook and learn how to cook new types of meals. And I thought maybe we can market to other people, which will allow them to grow their culinary skills. As we started doing interviews, this sort of came into maybe we offer a cuisine essentials package where we offer sample sizes of oils and spices. But the more and more we listened to our customer feedback, that wasn't really what they wanted, and we had to go back to the drawing board on Wednesday night. So again, we looked back at those interviews that we did to better define the problem. A few of the problems that we found were that 25 to 35-year-olds don't like spending a lot of time cooking and preparing their meals. They especially don't like it if there's a lot of cleanup or prep work involved. They'll shy away from frozen food because of a perceived lack of quality. And also microwaving something isn't really something that grown-ups acceptably eat. But on the bright side, they are interested in exploring new dishes and cuisines, but they might stay away from a recipe because it requires purchasing a large spice or other ingredient that they're only going to use once. So now McLean is going to talk about how those problems fit with our solution.
You're on mute, McLean.
McLean, I think you're on good.
Thank you. As a 25 to 35-year-old leisurely cook, I can confirm that there's a definite need for this product, especially in the time of this pandemic. When we were going through this development, I was reminded of the very beginning of the pandemic when I was cooking for my girlfriend for one of the very first times. And I went through my pantry, my refrigerator, my freezer, and all that I had was a bag of frozen stir fry. And I thought, okay, it's better than giving her an egg and saying, here you go. So put it in a saucepan, cooked it up, tried it. Blander than anything I've ever tasted. Immediately rummaged through my spice drawer, looking for anything that might add some flavor, things I couldn't pronounce, things that I'd bought and forgotten about, threw it all together, and all of a sudden realized I can add spices and sauces to frozen food. And it kind of blew my mind. And as we were surveying people, once we developed the product, we surveyed a lot of 25 to 35-year-olds and found that I wasn't alone. A lot of our potential consumers indicated that they would much rather eat frozen foods that came with spices and sauces such that they could kind of flavor the food to their taste. So they could avoid not enough sauce, too much sauce, all of that. And with that, I'll hand it over to Shashank, who's going to tell you about our go-to-market strategy and our competitive advantage.
So when we started talking about pricing strategies, we thought about landing in the middle. So if we are to launch this product, we're going to land in the middle. So somewhere around $7 to $8 with the established players already in the market. As far as our advantage goes, we are ourselves the customers. Of course, we're creating it, but we're selling this to ourselves. We've always wanted it. Everybody has frozen food in their fridge. I mean, I have it. Everybody has the experience. It sometimes tastes like a raccoon or something. But now, more and more we have talked to customers, and more we have realized that this is something that we actually want to do. We as a team are a team of international cuisine experts, amateur cooks, and somebody who just wants to explore. But who is what? I'm not going to take questions on that. So with all this that we already have with us, and if we can partner with Nestle, we can actually use their brand value, their ingredients that they have in the market, their negotiating power that they have with already established players. We will be able to actually make it a big thing. So as far as our traction goes, we actually tried to sort of enter market, test the waters. So we've been talking to some supermarket chains and some standalone grocery stores right across the street. and we did gain a little bit of traction. So moving forward, we should have it under our belt. With this, we will take your questions. Thank you.
Job, guys. Well done. Well done here. Let's bring up our judges here. If you guys want to put the slides down, McLean, and those of you may have to keep a couple of, we'll get the judges on here and they can ask you guys some questions here right now. So let's bring everyone on, and it might be helpful if one or two of you guys leave your cameras on, the rest of you guys sort of just let our judges ask. Let's get everyone on. All right, take it away, folks.
All right, I guess I can start. One of the questions I had is, so something that, like, I'm part of your demographic, exactly, right? I have frozen meals in my freezer and all that stuff. So one thing I wasn't able to clearly differentiate in your presentation was, for example, like, I do a lot of shopping at Trader Joe's, right? And they have very, very good flavors for a lot of their frozen meals. And I've cooked before and people couldn't differentiate between a restaurant and stuff like that. So how are you planning to do your differentiation for somebody to pick up or get your product versus, hey, my Trader Joe's is really like down that way, I can just go grab it amongst a variety of cuisines? So
I'll take that. So Trader Joe's, I also go to Trader Joe's. I'm also an Indian, and they have the best of the Indian options as far as frozen food goes. The key differentiation is the frozen food that you buy at Trader Joe's is already made. It's cooked. You just have to put it in the oven. You just have to heat it and eat it. But what it destroys the flavor per se, because it's already been cooked. You just microwave it. It's not that flavorful. How we are differentiating is we're giving you the frozen ingredients that are to be frozen, but we are giving you oils and the spice mix in the correct proportions that is supposed to go in that portion with that. So you actually put it on a skillet or a wok or anything of your liking, and you actually cook it then. So it's sort of frozen, but it's fresh. You cook it.
Okay.
So it doesn't destroy the flavors per se.
Okay, appreciate that. Thank you.
Great.
Actually, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Fabienne. You're on mute.
Sorry, I pressed twice, doesn't work. Yeah, I had roughly the same question about the competition, because I think your analysis of the consumer is excellent. In terms of the market and the competition, I was a little bit there too. I was like, what is really the differentiating factor? Now that you explain, I understand that this is really the fresh spices that you add to the frozen food and you cook all that. And I think it's not clear enough in your presentation, because I think there is here a very good angle that was not explored. And if you marry that to the international, I think there is something very appealing suddenly. But I agree with Sunny that it was not clear from your pitch there.
One thing I'd like to add, if I may, is a lot of our marketing towards this, our angling, our thinking was that we had a lot of feedback on people wanting to try new cuisines. And this is the way, like, for spices and sauces that you may not be used to, for certain peppers and things like that, an ability to just try in one dish, be able to kind of add a little bit of cayenne pepper. And hey, if I like it next time, maybe I'll add some more. And kind of the ability to do that, I think, was one of our biggest differentiators. So really allowing people to kind of become more familiar with different ingredients, as opposed to just having a box of all the ingredients in there together. Okay.
And do you think of mix matching, the frozen food and the spices, and having something that is even more fun to, I don't know.
I see no problem with it. I think that sounds fun.
Yeah, part of this was that people are trying to have fun with their cooking and enjoy cooking to a certain extent. We got the example of people don't want things that are too feel real, or it doesn't feel like something an adult can eat. So there needs to be a little bit of effort put into it, which is also part of how we're differentiating ourselves.
And do you guys see developing a new brand for this, or leveraging some of the equities of the Nestle brands?
So
We talked about how this is similar to the Maggie brands, but it would probably stand on its own. We kind of came up with like a quick sketch. I don't know if you can pull up the PowerPoint again. It would look like to just have a few different things lined up. So we talked about a chef at home chicken tikka masala, a chef at home stir fry. Yeah, our thinking was to go and make this its own brand.
Okay, great.
I mean, I'll add to that we'll get definitely with Nestle, of course, the products that you already have, the suppliers that you already have, you will be able to use the internal resources. But then again, we would definitely like it to launch as a different brand.
And is this a product for one? Because you guys talked about the segment, which I thought you did a really nice job on, of 1 to 2 person households. Do you see a specific target? Is it more the individual meal, or is it for 2?
Yeah, so we started this with the idea of it being an individual meal, but I definitely think that there's potential for it to be a 2-person sized or sized to serve like a whole family. So like 4 portions within the packaging.
We have to let our spice entrepreneur say something. So before we'll last question for Monique, and then we'll sort of we'll just switch to our next team.
Thank you. Yeah. So one thing I wanted to just point out is, I own a spice business. I've been on the road for the last year speaking to customers from all over the country. And the one thing that I will tell you, and this is just some advice, is that people don't really know how to spice it. So I think obviously, adding these to a product and giving them clear instructions on, okay, what is this? What kind of flavor profile am I going to get? So I think you got to kind of turn it into more of a storytelling type thing. So people will feel a connection to like, oh yes, if I buy this product, I will be transported to India because, this spice will, take me there or what have you. So I do think there's going to need to be a lot of storytelling to make you very different than some of the other products that are out there in the frozen section.
Awesome.
This is some advice.
There you go. I love it.
Thank you.
All right, let's bring up our second team here. Well done, guys. Good work here, and thanks again for our first one to kick things off strong here. So let's bring up our second team here to hear about their concepts. So let me bring you guys up right now. All right, and Mark. All right, I will let you guys take it away from here. The floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mark Allen. On behalf of Michael Keebler and Ambition Sang, we would like to introduce you to ShopSmart, powered by Citi. E-commerce has changed how individuals deal with the world around them. Starting back with the first wave in 95 to 2003, we saw the birth of e-commerce as consumers were now able to buy things over the internet that traditionally they could only have by going into stores. 2004 to 2009, we saw the second wave with community data aggregation, a lot more proliferation and move to online, which then was continued with the third wave that we're still in 2010. This saw mobile platforms, data proliferation, and a growth and explosion of data being brought online that we had never seen before. This is great in that consumers are now able to buy new products, get data quicker, and have access to more markets that they didn't have before. But there's also liabilities here. There is so much information out there. There is so much different products they can buy. How consumers find what's right for them has changed. This is also a great opportunity for us to move, seeing as there was purchased through e-commerce. And in reaction to this, we would like to introduce you to ShopSmart. ShopSmart is a personalized, data-driven product discovery tool given to Citi customers. This will be done by providing Citi customers with insights pulled directly from quantitative data of past purchases by Citi cardholders and members of the Citi community. Our goal here will be to save time, discover products that wouldn't be delivered to them through traditional consumption methods, and also to have price confidence that they know when they buy something, it's worth it. Initially, when we went out and began to scope our problem, we thought we'd go with pricing, but we actually saw this was too late in the consumption process. Using TVs, for example, there are so many different models with different specs and different generations. How do individuals know what is right for them?
So to validate our concept and our solution, we ran some experiments, and we started with a minimum viable product here and in the form of a manual concierge. So that was us, the guy in the suit there with the bags in his hands. We reached out to our friends on social media and text message and told them we're developing this tool to drive product recommendations for them. Do you have anything that you're looking to buy in the near future? And we'll do it for you. We'll do the research. We were bombarded by our friends. They needed our help. They needed something like this. And so we use our personal knowledge of the shopper and product reviews to go out and do the effort for them and what our product would do as the human shopper. You know, we found them a recommendation, sent it to them, and got great feedback. You know, we were pretty effective at finding something that would meet their needs based on our knowledge of them. They said, perfect, this looks good. I found this exact same thing, was considering buying it. To further validate our solution, we added to our experiments a survey to reach 57 potential consumers, and they further validated things. We saw the issues that they're spending a lot of time searching for products. Many of them, sometimes are always, do take into consideration what others are buying, which will help drive our recommendations. And they're looking at this for bigger ticket items, the things where quality matters. Additionally, oftentimes, you know, the difficulty of searching and the effort it takes sometimes leads them to just completely abandon their search and not buy anything at all. We then looked at the competitive landscape for our solution. We saw search-based ad targeting on Facebook and Instagram. However, that's pushing information based on searches. Our platform will drive recommendations when the consumer has an identified need. You've got Honey's platform and other coupon and discount programs and price matching guarantees that retailers will have. However, again, that's focused on price discovery and price discounting, which was, as Mark said, where we initially thought we were going. But our interviews led us on a different path that will differentiate ourselves on solving a bigger problem in general product discovery. A fourth competitor out there is Amazon and sites like it that aggregate various different products and recommendations. The issue with them is, you know, smaller products can get lost. Amazon, you know, has issues with incentivizing its own products. You know, there's conflicts of interest and bias. So our platform will be driven solely on, you know, pricing data and past purchase information based on the shopper and people like it through City's platform. And so, you know, through this differentiation, we think ShopSmart is a great product that we'd love to bring to City, and Vishen will describe what we propose with City next.
Thanks, Michael. So as Michael mentioned, what we really need to offer is a product that people trust, and what City brings is a great reputation of 200 years of over 200 years of providing trusting services for clients across the globe. So that's a big reason why we're here pitching to City today. In addition, on the next slide, you'll see that City has a bunch of very rich data sets that we could tap into to generate these personalized insights. For example, we could tap into data from various regions, various demographics. We could develop algorithms that will help narrow down into different types of customer profiles that can then be leveraged to create those insights for specific types of people. So that way, instead of you having to ask your friends or opening up many tabs on your browser, you'll be able to get the same types of insights delivered straight to you in a very easily digestible way, which saves you that time and pain. Next slide, please. So City had a product many years ago called Price Rewind. It started many years ago. It was killed last year. The issue was that even though it was a customer favorite, it cost Citibank $17.5 million per year. So City ended up having to terminate it because it wasn't, exposed them to financial risk. So what this tells us is that customers do want something that gives them the price confidence when they're shopping, but the provider has to have a business case for providing that kind of tool. And we think that our product of providing personalized insights and purchase recommendations comes with an interesting business opportunity that could be leveraged by City to make this make financial sense. On the next slide, I'll tell you about that. We believe that we could pull in revenue from a couple different sources. One is from affiliate marketing, through which we could get a small commission from sales that get pulled from other vendors. We could run ads, and then we could, of course, get commission from credit card fees. In addition, longer-term revenue could come from customer acquisition for Citi. So whatever customers spend on in the future, Citi would get a cut of anyway. We realize that this is an important offering in the e-commerce space. An interesting example is Honey, the coupon finding tool that Michael mentioned earlier, which helps customers save money through figuring out, what's the best coupon code to put in to get the deal. Honey was just bought by PayPal for $4 billion. That shows us that personalizing stuff, creating recommendations, there is a potential for that kind of offering to have a lot of value in the e-commerce space. Next slide, please. So what we propose to do is have this tool generate these personalized recommendations using the data. It'll be an improvement from Price Rewind because it won't cost Citibank any money. In fact, it'll make Citibank money and then address the pain point of customers having to spend all this time and energy finding the products they want. Thanks for your time.
Well done, guys. Congratulations here. Let's bring up our judges here to ask some questions. So if you guys turn off the slides here, that would be great. And we'll bring everyone up here for some questions here from our. So come on up, judge, on stage. All right. Get you all on stage here, and we'll let you guys take it from there.
Thank you very much. And I think this is a very, very needed, there is a need, definitely. We're all lost, when we go online and try to shop on something. So I think this is definitely a need. I have a question on the trust, and I realize you didn't have a lot of time to dig, into all that. But what I understand that the trust now is not in the institutions. It's really in the people and the friends and so on. So how will you deal with that? Because here, big institution is Citibank. Yes, it's has a good reputation, but it's still, data, algorithms, and so on. So how do you reconcile that?
I think we would have a sort of positioning strategy that would communicate that although we are an institution delivering these insights to you, the insights are really coming from data from your friends' past purchases, from your family or people similar to you's past purchases. And based on that, you can get the same feedback. So, whether you trust us as an institution or not, you can test us, right? And you can decide, you can ask your friends to figure out if they're giving you the same recommendations and then test our tool to see if we're giving you the same ones. And if there's that overlap, then I think that makes the case for us building trust in our shoppers' eyes.
On the flip side, so a company like Citibank, which, it's a big company, well-known company, and you're relying on data. So let's say someone like Shopify, who I use, and I mean, they have a ton of the data that they have is gold for a project like this. So I think, have you thought about partnering with someone like a Shopify? And because you do have that name brand, I think it could be, something they would consider perhaps.
Yeah, we had considered, and thanks for the question, because it does bring up exactly what avenue is the right entry point for us. We had considered different methods like that of having a channel bringing out. I believe that moving in and gaining access to an individualistic community and building out with a brand name like Citi, where it's a different and additional composite to the other tools that they give us, to the tools that they give their consumers as additional benefit of being part of the Citi community, was the right entry point to us. That allowed those natural synergies to kind of be realized, as opposed to moving with a Shopify or trying to get, going through an advertiser or a sponsored content really did bring in that element of trying to gain revenue through advertisements or sponsored. It skewed the base tenet of really what we wanted to let the data speak for itself, instead of us trying to give an influenced direction to allow what other people are buying to full transparency. That's kind of the direction we went. And it seems like a lot more of the blocks of really what we're trying to do conveyed the essence that way, as opposed to, you know, buying data and then presenting like an end, we derived a product for you.
It's a great idea.
Yeah. Additionally, through the partnering with Citi, you know, we would have access to purchase data, you know, which would filter in. You know, you would get some of that Shopify type purchase information, you know, outside of directly partnering with Shopify or any other, you know, specific e-commerce platform and limiting ourselves that way. You know, we get a larger purchase data.
Last question, Sonny. You want to do the last question here?
Yeah. So actually, one of the things I was thinking about is Amazon does a thing for Amazon's choice, right? Like it provides more revenue to Amazon. It highlights sort of a thing that Amazon's partnered with. I guess it's a two-part question. Number one, will your platform have a feature to bring in more revenue via hey, guys, this is not what your friends are buying, but this is a sponsored item, A. B, do you think that something like that, which is designed by design to bring more revenue in, would that destroy the integrity of what you're trying to create with friend recommendations and things of that sort? That's something I'm really curious about.
Yeah, and you know, it's a timely question right now because the transparency, we want it to be key. We wanted it to not be driven on our side, especially with the trust element, which was, you know, one of the larger tenets of why we went with Citi. Suggested and promoted items, like we saw the number of the tech CEOs on the Hill, I believe it was Friday or it might have been Thursday at noon. There are elements of whether they're using some of these to actually, you know, I don't want to say insidiously, but take slightly unethical movements. Right now, especially as we're moving in and the amount of revenue generation that can be driven by online sales. Now, it might not be directly, hey, Citi's taking a cut of those, but at the end of the day, there is a chance there that things can be driven. We could look at it down the road if we build out brand equity of the tool of after we have a reliance, but we see these elements driven a lot of for-profit areas for the click-through until we build out the trust, because you saw the first question we got was, hey, can we trust this? Until we've answered those questions and we've proven something, we wanted to kind of steer away from something like that. Well, it might get some money.
We're gonna wrap you up
Go
here, Mark,
ahead.
just so we can keep us on pace here. But I think we got it. So good work, guys. Congratulations. Well done, team here, our Shop Smart here crew. So let's bring up our third group here now. And now we're going to take a little different route here with a little bit of talk about wine here. So let's bring up the crew here to talk about wine here really quickly. Let me bring you guys on stage. Melanie and John. All right. And Vanessa. All right. With that, we'll Wasted Wine. We'll let you guys take it away from here.
Sounds good. All right, there we go. Welcome, guys. Cheers. Thank you for joining us. As you saw in our promotional video, this idea started with the concept of the coffee industry and how there's so much waste. We keep the seeds, we throw away the cherries, the cascara, and we felt that we could make wine with that byproduct. We have since evolved into other agricultural industries that have similar models and similar byproducts. So I'm very excited to present to you today Wasted Wines, which is a suite of wines that are made from the byproducts of large agricultural industries. And I'm going to pass it off to Vanessa to talk to you about market and customer segments.
Yeah, so I don't have to convince you all that wine industry is already a multi-billion-dollar business on its own. In fact, during COVID, to no one's surprise, in fact, it grew by 27%. Now, what you probably did not know is that the alternative wine market is actually the highest growth segment within the industry. And by alternative, I mean alternative fruit. So we wanted to validify this assumption that, not assumption, but number by interviewing folks here. So we did over 60 interviews with consumers, sommeliers, distributors, etc. And what we really concluded is that wasted wines would have their early adopters would be millennials. And these would be the folks who are hooked by a story. So you tell them something about a product, about where it came from, or it's owned by someone, etc., and they want to know more. And more than that, 3 important things matter to them when it comes to wine. Taste, is it within their price range, and does it have pretty packaging? And one thing we also learned was that they purchase their wines mostly online through wine clubs and wine subscriptions, and they were moving away from actually liquor stores and grocery stores. And essentially, what we found that in addition to being socially driven, they're also environmentally driven. But more than that, we discovered that those were aspirational goals, and that the people who are really driving these goals are businesses like Nestle. So Nestle really has a commitment to creating a world without waste by working with value chain partners, industry associations, and consumers to shape a waste-free future. And essentially, what this means is that they have an unfair advantage. There's a corporate social responsibility component here, and they're really investing a lot of money into this. And not only money, they're actually over 80% of the corporate website is dedicated to displaying environmental fact-based information. So we really believe that wasted wines can help businesses like Nestle solve these kinds of complex challenges in order for them, businesses, and its consumers to have an impact now and in the future. With that, John, would you like to continue talking about distribution?
Thank you, Vanessa. Next, we're going to talk about how we're going to actually bring this to the consumer. So from researching and talking to wine experts and looking at market industry information, we identified a couple things that we're going to call out. First of all, that we want to locally do production. We want to produce the wine close to where the fruit is grown. You may remember from our video that this wine is already produced locally. It's just not produced at scale. So we want to scale it up and do that locally to where the fruit is grown, then transport it using Nestle's existing shipping partnerships. We want to call out 2 things about distribution. Of course, we want to distribute this product through conventional channels like restaurants and wine stores. And the way that we would do that is, first of all, by selling it to distributors that would in turn sell to those entities. And we talked to some distributors. They were interested. And in fact, one of them even invited us to pitch the idea at a summit that they regularly do to review new product opportunities. The second thing that we wanted to call out, in addition to that demonstration that there is the potential for these distributors with large-scale access to the market to pick this up, is that there's a unique e-commerce angle for Nestle in the growing e-commerce market for wine. And that is, it's popular already among coffee drinkers to pick coffee using websites or retailers that offer both single origin. You can get it from a specific place, as well as even going more specific than that, for example, to specific farms, is something that's already popular within the coffee consumer base. And we want to replicate that with this opportunity in regards to cask wine, allow people to select specifically where they're getting their product from. The last thing that we wanted to call out in regards to vetting out the market for this product is that we did a test to gauge response to digital advertising on Facebook and Instagram. And based on a test using, as you can see, a very simple beta-looking advertising campaign and landing page, we did get some responsiveness. And if we look at the click rate that we got from those advertisements and then look at the wine drinking population, or the population of millennials in the top 4 wine drinking states, we could expect that even a simple campaign like this would yield about 100,000 visitors to this very simple website that could then in turn potentially be converted into customers. So underscores the potential for this to resonate with consumers.
So when we set out, we thought we were going to be a classic glass bottle wine like you normally see, but we've since discovered this alternative wine format of the Tetra Pak, or as people will say, the adult juice box. And when we put a poll up on Instagram, A versus B, it was split 50-50 all day. So we thought that was really interesting, and we priced out both. The classic glass bottle 750 ml would be $10 wholesale to hit an under $20 mark for retail, which we found was really important in the non-grape wine category. And then the Tetra Pak, which is a single serve, would be a 4-pack at $12 to hit about $22 to $24 retail. So where do we go from here? We vetted this cask wine idea. We think we can expand it to wasted wines, cacao juice wine, beet pulp wine from sugar production, who knows? And then after that, we can go to wasted products. Maybe we can make tea, maybe we can make baking flour. There's so much opportunity to turn byproduct into saleable product. And the big picture here is that we can turn Nestle's mission of sustainability from a cost into a revenue, and really help enhance their zero to waste mission. So we're really excited. Thank you for listening, and we're happy to take any questions.
Awesome. Well done, guys. Congratulations. Well done. Let's bring up our judges here to ask some questions for you guys. Let me get everyone on stage, back on stage here right now. So hold on just a second. All right. Drink the wine too. I like that, Melanie. Good work here. Authentic. You're on brand right here. I like it. So I'll let you guys take it from here.
Hi guys, great job. This is Doug. Really love, the social mission that you guys see as a way for us to reduce waste. At what stage do you say wine is the industry that you want to focus in on first? And were there other categories that you looked at that might make sense that are more adjacencies to our portfolio?
Yeah, that's a really good question. This is actually an idea I've been ruminating on for a few years. I started in the liquor industry, and I'm now in coffee. So it was it was rooted in sort of my own innovation over my career. And we did look at other products briefly. We know that cascara currently is being used for tea, but on a smaller scale, that it's starting to be used for baking flour as an antioxidant source. So there are other categories that would be more conducive to the current Nestle portfolio, but because of the growth in the wine industry, we felt like it was a really good opportunity for Nestle to expand that portfolio. And also with the benefits of, let's say, the sanitation, or the lack of, not so much need for sanitation in fermentation, it seemed more conducive to using these waste products.
Great, thank you very much.
Also love the environmental, the societal, and so on. This is great, and I think you are right on with the targets. And I'm sorry, I'm French, so when you talk about wine, but I love that, because to me, it's talking about disruption. It's a great way to disrupt an industry, which is a little bit, for the old guys drinking their, classical wine and so on. So I think in terms of the disruption of a category, this is brilliant. This is great. I really love that. I love again, the storytelling. We talked about that. Storytelling is absolutely crucial. Now I'm also a chemist. So what about the feasibility and the quality of the end product? Did you talk about wine experts about that? Are you confident?
So one of the great things about this, and another reason why it might be a good entry point into the wasted products concept, is that this is actually already being done. This product is already made on a small scale in wine growing regions. And really, there's not as much of the lack of that, invention as more no one has taken it up to a larger scale. So that was one of the benefits.
Coffee growing regions. Coffee growing regions.
I'm sorry, coffee growing regions. Yeah.
It makes sense. Now I didn't know about that wine there. So if it's the quality is good, yeah, I think with the concept is.
So are you saying that the shelf life is going to be similar to a bottle of wine that gets better with age? Is that?
This would be more of the new era of wines of enjoy at a more youthful age. It would be not intended to age. It would be consumed within a few years. We don't see really a benefit to aging non-grape wines as a category.
What's the shelf life?
Well, the shelf life is fairly indefinite with wine, but the quality, I'd say the quality limit would be about 3 years.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think with this whole non-alcoholic trend that we're seeing, this is a great idea. And I think that there's definitely some potential here.
Sunny, anyone have a last question here? Otherwise, wasted wine. Well, go drink your wines here. Well, do you have a last question, Sunny, or or I guess we'll call it a good here. So good work here, guys. Here, we'll bring up our sort of last our fourth crew here. But congratulations, well done, guys. Wasted wine. All right. So now we're gonna kind of have another fintech concept coming up here, and so we'll bring up the folks here from I think Safe Swipe here. Let me get them on stage here. Hold on just a quick second. And this is our fourth team here. So hold on. And all right, guys, we will let you guys take it away from here and introduce folks to your concept. So with that, I'll let you guys take it away.
Awesome. Can everyone see the presentation?
Yep.
Great. All right, good afternoon. We're Safe Spend, and our group consists of myself, Elliot, Anne, and Ahmed. So this is Rachel. Rachel is a 30-year-old woman who is very conscious about where she shops in the COVID era. She deliberately picks socially responsible stores to conduct her in-store purchases, only touches what she puts in her cart, and wears masks, maintains spatial awareness and distance, and actively seeks new ways to break the chain of transmission of COVID and other communicable diseases. However, there is one thing Rachel dreads despite her noble attempts at reducing coming into contact with surface areas. That is the in-store checkout process. Yes, so inserting your credit card into those credit card processors. As it turns out, credit card processors have been linked to the transmission of COVID-19. Our group actually knows one individual who contracted the disease from a credit card processor thanks to contact tracing. Therefore, it would be in society's best interest to reduce the physical contact that Rachel has with these terminals. So our solution for Rachel, this is called Safe Spend. How does Safe Spend work? So first, you just insert your card as you would into any chip reader without actually coming in contact with the credit card processor. Next, your cell phone gets a notification in order to emulate the credit card processor screen. Third, you go ahead and verify your purchase. Fourth, sign, and finally you're done. It's that simple. And the big thing here is the reduction of directly touching the credit card processor, going from 2 points of touching both the pen to sign and those green and red buttons to verify or deny your purchase. So here is an insight that we reached, and that is that Rachel is not alone. Over the past 2 weeks, we've learned that there's a wide segment of health-conscious customers and consumers. Moreover, we learned that this consumer segment is actively looking for better ways to make in-store purchases without having to come into physical contact with a credit. Some key points that we picked up were 59% of consumers feel safer using contactless cards than this time last year. 55% said, I will be using contactless in the short term to help stop the spread of the disease, specifically attributable to in-store purchases. And 54% said using contactless payment methods has made me more comfortable with this payment in the future.
All right, so you might be wondering, what about Apple Pay? What about Samsung Pay? Don't these things already solve this problem? But no, they don't. So we found that consumers don't associate Apple Pay and Samsung Pay with safety, but they associate it with convenience. So 6 months ago, before COVID, you entered a store and you just wanted to get in and out as fast as possible. Apple Pay might have helped with that and sped up your checkout process. But now, in the wake of COVID, you want to make sure you're being as safe as possible, touching as few things as you can when you're shopping. And right now, there are a lot of things about Apple Pay and Samsung Pay that don't really help with this. So we heard from Rachel and some others that a lot of them actually do have Apple Pay, but they don't really like to use it that much. And we heard some of those reasons were that they don't like how their phone touches the same surface as other people's when they check out. Sometimes they actually have to sign their signature for certain credit cards, which they find very annoying. And a lot of stores don't accept Apple Pay. So these consumers really aren't getting the minimal contact with surface areas that they want during this time. And so yeah, none of these existing providers are meeting this need for safety. And right now the need for this is huge. So we think it is a unique opportunity for Citi to dominate the marketplace. And now I'll hand it off to Ahmed to elaborate on our strategy moving forward.
Thanks, Anne. So why Citi? I'll start off with a quick fact that last year there were more than 40 billion transactions through 4 major US network providers, and they were valued more than $3.3 trillion. And like Anne mentioned, only a tiny percent of those transactions were processed through Apple and Samsung Pay. And with the current timing where we're in, a lot of solutions like contactless payment is becoming a need from a want. And I feel like we all believe that Citi has this huge opportunity to come and dominate this market, because there would be only one solution, would be Citi Safe Spend, would be the only solution in the market that actually truly provides contactless payment method. As far as next steps are concerned, we have identified Arlington as one of the first cities to test our customers. And since the city itself has moderate COVID cases, and seems like the people of Arlington are already adhering to the CDC requirements, and this would be a great test to add an additional layer of safety through Citi Safe Spend. We also believe initially grocery stores would be the first set of retail stores we would launch this to kind of harvest additional data and identify our customer needs. With that, we'll take any questions.
Well done, guys. Well done. Congratulations here. Let's bring up our judges here to talk about Safe Spend. So let's bring them up, our folks here, and get everyone on stage to ask you some questions. All right. Sunny, let's just start maybe as our resident fintech here. Any comments or thoughts you want to start with?
So I'm a fan of the idea. I'm going to start off with that. Like, I like the idea of marketing it as more of a safer versus convenient way. And I definitely do see the differentiation between Apple Pay, where Apple Pay, you go in, you go out. You're not really looking at it as the safe part. You're in and out, right? One question I had was, where do you view the contactless credit cards on this scale? Because I didn't really see that in the presentation. I saw that the Apple Pay, like, that was my first question, was how are you guys gonna find that synergies with Apple Pay or whatever? But for example, I'm using my credit card, the wireless thing, more often than not now. And as in my mind, it's more of a safety thing than putting the chip in and all that stuff. So how do you guys see that compared to what you guys are doing with your solution?
Sure. So yeah, great question. And we looked at some of that, and from what we understand, sometimes that may still require a signature, and that's where we wanted to differentiate ourselves from like the NFE or like the RF type cards. So that would be the technical differentiation. The other differentiation would be, a lot of people, while a lot of people are using that, there's still many, including myself. Like, I have 2 contactless credit cards, and I always forget that they're contactless because it's such a physical habit from going into your wallet, pulling out your card, and inserting it in that credit card machine. So we kind of look at this as like the first step into breaking that habit. And some other data that Ahmed dug up earlier was, places like China and like Pakistan and India kind of went from a cash-based system all the way to contactless. So kind of like skipped over the whole like Verifone credit card processor piece, and that was kind of out of necessity. But we're really looking at like, this is the first step into going fully contactless. So that's a valid point.
Another reason why we thought contactless credit cards might not be the solution to go, because a lot of times there's a contactless debit cards where you're still using wireless technology, but at the same time you're still entering your debit PIN card or PIN number. So that still is a touch point where we're trying to remove that.
I guess, what's the revenue model on this? How's Citi making money off of this?
So several people we talked to, without even being asked, they're employing a lot of do-it-yourself solutions and still following like the safe PPE practices, but they're not Citi customers. And they're like, I would switch over to Citi for a product like this. They see the switching costs as like being relatively low. Now, not necessarily replacing their main credit card, but as of right now, just make like the Citi customer pie bigger.
Yeah, when we interviewed, I think 50 plus consumers, we asked them if they would switch. And I think the majority of them said that they would purchase it as an additional card to what they're currently using. But there were definitely great results.
There's an additional opportunity to not just look from a consumer perspective, but from also retailers. It would be in benefit for the retailers to kind of employ that sort of technology and to, you know, be more corporate responsible.
Great.
So I had one more question I had for you was, so a lot of the steps that in your slide went through sort of a process similar to already like a Stripe payments or something like that, right? Where, I mean, yesterday I was at Bar Taco, I ordered on my phone, I paid on my phone, everything transacted and was very seamless and easy. Do you think that this would be a threat to your company? Like Citi could very easily create like an online shop sort of portal where you scan a QR code and you could do everything through that, right? Would this be a threat to your company, or is your company sort of targeting a different it seems like a different approach, but could you highlight on that just a little bit, please?
Yeah, so I'll try and answer this one real quick because I know we're short or over time. But yeah, so we really wanted to target like those essential services, right? So like grocery stores, which aren't currently offering that right now, and all of our customer segments that we're looking at for those that we want to own, attract, and accept would all go to right now, as opposed to like fast casual dining.
Awesome. Well done, guys. Congratulations. Well done. We will we'll sort of let our last crew come on here, which is kind of crazy to think here. And I will say, you're the poor judges here. I'm glad I'm not one of you guys. You guys have put everyone in a pretty uncomfortable position here to figure out their favorite. So well done, guys, so far. So let's bring up our last of the 5 here and let our last crew here tell us a little bit about their contest. Advocates for Change. So we'll bring you guys up here and let you guys take it away. So with that, I will let you guys do your thing here.
Thank you. Perfect. So welcome, everyone. We want to start by saying, how do we see this 2020? So corporations will be remembered for years to come by the way they responded to the protests of 2020. Corporate social responsibility is no longer an aspirational problem, but a must-have for corporations. What we notice is that there is a breach to the perceptual gap between the consumer's strong desire to support social causes and the business's actions to make a positive social change. And we already know that Nestle has been making efforts to have this diversity in supply chain. They support rural businesses, gender equality, and other social causes. But consumers aren't seeing exactly all these efforts that Nestle is doing. And what we want to do here is to fill this gap. So how are we going to close this gap? What we are proposing is to provide a way to consumers to support social causes by doing their grocery shopping. The consumers will be able to identify the Nestle products produced by a minority-owned business, as you can see in the screen, know the story of the supplier that made that product, and how his purchase will support this business. But how did we get here?
I'll walk you through the journey of our exploration. So when we started, the initial theory was that customers were interested in where the ingredients they were eating were coming from, but from a nutritional standpoint. So we started with a digital nutritionist. We went out and we interviewed customers, and what we found though was there wasn't a ton of excitement around this idea. Folks were interested in nutritional value, but they get that from the back of the box with the ingredients list and nutritional percentages, those kinds of things. And this just wasn't very exciting. Food was food. So we thought, and we looked back at the responses we got, and one of the trends was sustainability, that where these ingredients were coming from, there was something there potentially about the sustainability of the sourcing of those ingredients. So we did some more interviews. Thought this would be, our problem to go solve. So again, talked to customers, but still there was nothing that strong and exciting. So we started to get down a little bit. We made a big pivot towards food safety, thinking that there would be something there where if there was an E. coli outbreak or something like that, customers would have greater trust in the product if they knew where it was coming from. But again, still not a lot of excitement around that as a problem to be solved. So we took a step back. We looked at all the customer interviews that we had done, and we started to see this trend that through the digital nutritionist, the personal sustainability advocate, and the personal food safety inspector ideas, there was this theme of the connection to the people that were producing those ingredients. And that was our big aha moment. It wasn't about the places where the food was coming from. It was the people that was what was important to them. And so we came to this idea of supporting social causes through the purchase of products.
We interviewed over 40 individuals, and what we found is that our target market for this product is really those people in their 20s. So Gen Zs and millennials. These are people that really want to do good through their purchasing habits, but don't know how to know if they're really doing good. So for example, if a young person is in the grocery store and they're looking at two products, a Nestle product and a competitor, how do they know which product is really benefiting those minority-owned communities? So that's what we're really doing, is we're building that bridge to provide those consumers with that information. And how are we going to do that? So as you can see in the next slide, we're going to develop an app. So the customer would actually pick up a participating Nestle product. They would scan the QR code on the product, and they would be able to learn through the app exactly who this product is benefiting. We really want to be as transparent as possible and provide the consumer the most information possible. As you can see, you could actually see a picture on the phone there in the app of the actual individual that it's helping. We're keenly aware that we don't want this to look like a PR stunt, because Nestle is really already taking the action. This isn't just words, but what we're doing is we're providing that bridge where we can actually tell consumers how Nestle is doing that good and who the individuals are that this is benefiting. And this is also a platform. So we want you to think about all the different aspects of this product, not just the app, not just the QR code, not one individual thing, but all the different aspects of it. So for example, we're going to provide customers advocacy points, where the customer can actually go on the app and they can see how many points they've accumulated. They can use these points for future purchases. We want to provide them the opportunity to share their experience and just share the change that they're actually driving by purchasing these products with their friends. So as you can see there on the left, somebody shared it on Instagram, and they haven't just shared some kind of vague picture or some vague concept. They're actually sharing a picture of the actual individual that they're helping. So that's really important, that they can scan and make a difference today through their purchase. And then lastly, we did a lot of market research through our interviews, but we also wanted to go a step further. So we actually went to Google and we actually bought an ad. So through this ad, we generated over 900 impressions, 24 clicks, and we really think that the data we gathered from this ad really validated our thesis. So it was really just a way for us to kind of validate what we were thinking. And really taken as a whole, between the ad and also the interviews that we did, we think we really did validate kind of what customers are looking for in this space. So now Michael will wrap it up.
So next steps, just quick, the idea would be to do a pilot program with a brand like Cheerios to prove out the implementation and how this would tactically be developed. And then do even more customer interviews and focus groups to explore other social causes like women-owned businesses, local or small businesses. You know, this could be bigger than something like minority-owned businesses, which was our initial target. So we see this as a win-win-win. It's a win for Nestle in that it creates customer awareness and engagement with Nestle's corporate social responsibility initiatives that are already in progress. It's a win for customers in that it provides a platform for customers to experience and celebrate the social impact that they've had and that they've affected through their purchases. Again, actions, not words. And it's a win for minority-owned businesses in that it builds strong relationships between the minority-run businesses and Nestle, providing them with an economic benefit. So with that, we'll take your questions.
Wonderful job, guys. Wonderful job here. Let's bring on our judges to get to ask you some questions here. And so let me bring them on right now. All right. I'm going to turn off your slides too, Michael, too, just so we can, there we go. So why don't you guys take it away?
Yeah, here we go.
Thank you very much. I love the idea of making the social changes and so on concrete. Thank you. Because it's a buzzword for a lot of companies and we talk about it and it's a big blah blah like sustainability, like diversity. But here it makes it tangible and it makes the consumer part of it. So I think this is to me extremely powerful. It's funny because as you were talking, I was thinking already other beyond minority, and you covered that. I think I could see that as really a place where you have minority, you think all the aspects of diversity, older people, people who start a business after 50 or 60, women, the minority, the handicapped people and so on. You have so many facets of diversity you can tap into. So I think it has a lot of potential for being a platform. And now, perhaps in terms of, I'm sure other people will talk about that, the business model, because it's more of an image thing. So how it would really bring business, it has to be more accurate there and more specific. But thank you.
Hi guys, this is Doug. Awesome job, and it really rings true because there is so much good that we're doing. And I love this, painting this picture of this bridge to the consumer in terms of them understanding. Have you talked about how you would educate the consumer? Because I love what you said about this isn't a PR stunt. And so there's kind of this fine balance between how we communicate something like this. But how would you educate and communicate to the consumer of such a program?
Yeah, so I think there'd be a little bit of a marketing campaign like through media or getting influencers to promote the idea on social media. But tactically, you'd have, like we described, a QR code, and when you take that picture, you see a biography of that minority-owned business or women-owned business, or whichever it is, to give people that information, and then it would allow you to post that to your social media, and then it would start spreading by word of mouth, and there'd be hashtag associated with it, that kind of thing. But the idea is that you don't want it to be, again, that PR stunt. We want it to be a platform for a movement, to empower people to show that it's not words. I'm actually taking action and build momentum around that, and that would create real change.
And I would also say that what we found is that young people are really excited about making change. So if you can convince them that they're actually part of the process, to a certain extent, I think word of mouth will be important in this. So it will you'll build momentum, and amongst those people themselves through social media and other platforms, non-traditional media, they can actually kind of drive that marketing themselves rather than from the Nestle corporate side.
Any other question?
Any other questions from? All right. Well, we'll just with that, we'll give you guys a round of applause. Well done here. Congratulations, teams, and with that, we're gonna end this part of the show here a little bit. So again, terrific job to everyone, I think, today. And I think what we're gonna do now is take a quick little break. And particularly for all of our teams here, this was an important job here, is that all of you need to have a beverage of your choosing so that we can make sure we're celebrating here what you guys just accomplished here. We did spend 2 Saturdays back to back here, so you all deserve it. You all earn it. So what we're gonna do is take a quick little break here. One quick thing just to sort of note for everyone here, especially our judges, we're running up to sort of a time sort of thing on Remo, so it's gonna refresh. So very quickly, you may get booted off for just a quick second here. If you do, log right back on here, and then the judges are gonna confer for a few minutes here, and then we'll come back and announce our winners and sort of our folks that we want to celebrate here. So again, kudos, big round of applause here. And I will say this, I'm so glad I'm not one of the judges that's to decide this one, because you guys made their jobs really, really difficult. But again, congratulations here. Well done. And we will take a quick break here. All of you should grab your beer or your wine, or I guess your coffee-driven wine here, and celebrate. And do make sure you fill out that little form I sent you guys if you haven't done so yet. So we'll be back here in just a few minutes.